Hello.
How do? You're right.
Welcome to this week's video.
Branston Water Park.
Is where we're just going past. I think.
Sorry, we weren't paying attention to what's going on there.
But maybe we should do a bit of an intro for some of our new subscribers, because we had a few new subscribers recently. I'm Natasha.
And that's Paul.
We live on our 57-foot narrowboat full time. We're continuous cruisers, so that means we don't have a permanent mooring, and we also work off of our boat. We sell eco-friendly refillable cleaning products from 30p a 100ml, and we sell canal art. Paul is perfecting his...
I thought I had a wig on then. I was going to say...
the tree.
I had a shock. I saw the tree and sorry.
So yeah, Paul's perfecting his art, does canal art and takes commissions.
We're learning.
And we buy items in charity shops that we upcycle with canal art on. We also do handcrafted items that we buy from charity shops and upcycle as well. So we have all the social media channels you would expect. The link to them all are on our description below our videos. And we do a weekly video to try and show you a bit of what canal life's like.
Sorry, I paid attention to what's going on around, but in front and behind, making sure there's no boats and just keeping the engine noise down too, so that we're cruising slowly.
You'd be a safe boater and I'll do the talking, that's fine.
Okay, carry on. Get on with it.
So we've just had our head and stag weekends this weekend, because we're getting married in 3 weeks' time in Newark. So we will include a little bit of that in this week's video, not too much, don't want to frighten you all too much.
Frighten them, it's more like frighten all me.
And we went to a CRT meeting, East Midlands CRT meeting a few weeks ago, and they gave us some really useful information about how they manage water levels and using weevils on the canals to manage the weeds. But we're not in that part of the country now,
so it's been useful.
But we're going to slot it into this week's video, share some of that information with you guys, and we are heading back up that way later on in the year. So we hope you enjoy the video. Thank you for watching, we do appreciate it. We'll see you at the end.
In a bit, hit the button, ring the bell. It's free to you, me, the world, the boat in front, the boat behind, and everyone.
See you at the end. Monday morning, and we're just leaving Orus. I apologise for the poor pronunciation.
All was.
It is a very, very pretty village. There's some very old buildings. And we're just going down to go out of the lock and down onto a short section of the river.
We're going to go and join the queue.
Yeah, there's a queue for the lock. There's 3 boats, we think, waiting for the lock. Paul's already walked down there this morning to make sure the river levels are okay, and it's in the green, so that's really good news, because we weren't sure with all the rain we've had lately if we might get stuck here for a few days waiting for the river.
It's going to be a wet day today.
But yeah, there's spits and spots of rain. It's not forecast to rain until later this afternoon, but there's a few spits and spots about, but it's broken cloud. And we've just got it's about 7 miles to Burton.
Yeah. So from the end of what was the lot back there?
Common lot, oh no,
13.
Yeah.
Lot 13 down to bridge 47 is a 14-day mooring. After that, from bridge 47 down to bridge number 12.
No, lock number 12.
Sorry, yeah, lock number 12. Where you go on to the actual trend is 2-day moorings.
And the 2-day moorings are empty at the moment. The 2-week moorings were pretty full first thing this morning. Yeah, it is a busy spot. There wasn't that many boats on the 2-week moorings when we left at the weekend, but we came back last night and they were all full as well. So to excuse Paul's hoarse voice, why have you got a bit of a hoarse voice, honey?
I choose my words carefully. We had me stag do this weekend and Tash had her hen do this weekend.
There's some wooden camels on the side there.
It's the Easter, the Christmas story, isn't it?
Christmas story is camels.
Two wise men. Yes, so like we went laser questing, go-karting, and an escape rooming, and then a pub.
And the girls went to Stratford upon Avon.
Oh, we went to actually the rodeo place, but like the rodeo bull wasn't out, so
we'll pop a couple of bits of video in just so you can see the antics and what we got up to. But I did do some video. We did a boat trip on the River Avon, and we did a bus trip, sightseeing bus trip around Stratford, so I will pop a couple of bits of video of that in as well so you can see what we got up to over the weekend.
I think you might only get karting for this.
Yeah, I think it might only be karting for you. I don't think there's even going to be any photographs of you guys, is there?
There's a couple of photos in and around the old Fellows Morton warehouse where we had evening meal at the rodeo place, but not a picture of it this time.
So yeah, we'll put in a few bits just so you can see what we got up to, and we'll see you on the River Trent shortly.
That's why I'm going slow, because there's a queue.
Yeah, knowing there's a queue, we would be going slow anyway because there's moored boats, but we're going even slower than we would do.
It's actually Dave and Shane.
Oh, is that? Then we're going to be behind. So Nomadic Crafts, Dave and Shane, and Lisa, LDK Embroidery, are all down here as well.
Traders. They've appeared over the last 2 days.
All heading for wherever everyone's trading over Bank Holiday weekend, next weekend. So we're going to be in Nottingham at Castle Marina. Can't remember, I think Shane and Dave on the Nomadic Crafts, they're heading into Mercia Marina.
Yes.
I'm not sure what Lisa's doing on LDK Embroidery, but this is a very popular area for traders. There's lots of good spots for trading around here, and there's obviously lots of events happening next weekend, so I've no doubt we'll see more over the course of the week. We are moving every day this week so we can get to Nottingham. We're just really hoping that it doesn't rain too much, because we've got a larger section of the River Trent to do once we get to Shardlow, aiming to be at Shardlow on Wednesday, and then do the River Trent down across to Nottingham on Thursday. So let's just hope there's not too much rain and we can achieve that.
We will, have faith. I don't know why I went down to check the water levels.
Because we're responsible boaters and we're safe, that's why.
Okay.
That lovely shirt Paul's wearing.
Woo-woo.
I think we might be going somewhere special.
Nah, I've had a shower again today.
Wow, must be spring. We are just coming in towards Stratford upon Avon. It's Hen and Stag Do weekends.
I'm not in Stratford.
And his shirt is courtesy of the Hippie Boat. We'll put a link below for you.
Birthday present.
The arched bridge, which you can see ahead there, has got 14 arches, and it was originally built in 1484, and the site that it is on was where the river was originally forded back in Saxon times. The bridge is called Clopton Bridge. Get her! We've finished the river section and we're back on the canal now. You can hear the traffic next to us. So this section of the Trent and Mersey is the section that runs parallel with the A38. The river was good, didn't have any issues, wasn't flowing too fast, and the lock back onto the canal had a broken paddle for the previous couple of years, and that's finally been mended, so that was good as well. We hope you enjoyed the first part of the video.
Know my place already. I was just about to start and she jumps in.
Go on then.
No, you're all right. The first bit. Hope you enjoyed it. Moving on to a little thing we did one night back in March. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, it goes back a little bit. Don't forget, these are slightly a couple of weeks behind, aren't they? So like it's yeah, we've had lots of other things happening. But we went to the West Midlands User Forum. A very interesting evening. We went with a bit of dread, not knowing what forums really were. And I think our experiences might have just given us a bit of a wrong edge, didn't they? But we did get free coffee and biscuits. That's a good start. Always thinking about the stomach. Yeah. But the evening ended up being one of a lot of interest and a lot of exciting information, which hopefully we'll be able to bypass onto you in a little format in this.
And I have put all the links in the description below, because they have put out the presentations of all the information. So this is just a tiny snapshot view. And then if you want to see more detail, then you can look in the description at the links and see the full presentations. So,
what did we have at it?
So, firstly, they talked about...
Do you know, I'm sorry to interject, but like, West Midlands region, can you remember?
Oh, you're asking me to remember something with my fuzzy brain.
It starts at the Calden. It has part of the Trent and Mersey. It goes down the Staff and Worcesters. It goes into some of the Birmingham area. There is
Coventry's in it.
Oh yeah, it's bigger than I thought then. Coventry.
There you go, I remembered a bit.
Yeah. So like the area is quite a large area.
With the CRT do an annual lockage report, and 3 of the 5 busiest locks across the whole network are in the West Midlands.
I knew we'd get some of it wrong. It's just like a car tyre.
Hey?
Goes round and round and round and never stays in one place. But talking of car tyres.
So yes, since January, the rubbish that's been retrieved from the canals includes 87 tyres.
See, I told you, go round and round and round and round the prop.
Yeah, unfortunately.
72 fridges.
Yeah, 8 washing machines.
Is that microwaves?
Yeah.
Was it microwaves?
Yeah, 5
That's right, we've got a trim sheet just outside the thing just so we can get it right. 5 microwaves.
2 motorbikes. And it's cost them £83,000 just removing fly tipping from the canals.
Emergency repairs.
Yes, so you'll see on the pictures behind us, pictures of the fly tipping. And then the emergency repairs were at Stupony Lock. There was a hole in the gate and they had to put new gates in, so there was a closure there for a few weeks whilst they did that.
And that's on the Staff and Worcester, Stupony.
And then the bit...
Stourbridge?
Yeah, just below Stourbridge.
Yeah.
And then the bit that you've probably seen all over the news and social media is the 4 cars that were dumped in a very short space of time, one of which was in the top of the factory locks, and they had to remove those.
One of them was in Walsall as well.
It was, and it costs approximately £20,000 a time to remove cars from the canals, because obviously of all the work that has to be done to ensure the surrounding area is still safe once they're removed.
So you wonder why the boat licences are dear.
Yeah, so...
Because it comes all out of the CRT budget. It isn't insurance or stuff like that.
So yeah, there is more information, like I say, for that on the presentation if you want to see more detail. So moving on, there's also lots of planned works as well as emergency works, and the large lock at Kidderminster was drained for repairs.
Then there was the open day.
Yeah, so whilst it was empty, again, you can see the pictures behind us, there was...
Tell this is a new toy, can't you? She's found something else to add into it. But there was about 800 people that visited that, is that right? Yeah,
yeah, it is, yeah.
And the volunteers very kindly took people down into the lock. They made a big walkway and put the scaffold in so that all the stairs were safe and sound. So people could actually see what the bottom of the lock looked like.
Yeah.
With no water in it, of course. Yeah, they blocked it off and then drained it out.
And
so they do repairs.
The works that were done were obviously done by contractors. But it just highlights as well how much the volunteers contribute to the work across the canals as well. And open days are hugely run by volunteers too.
But also, some companies, if you've got a company and you want something to do, yeah, you can do staff volunteer days.
Yes, so corporate companies.
Which actually have skills that can benefit.
Yeah.
That was what they were saying,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
They're starting to ask companies or finding companies that will turn around and provide staff who've got a specific skill or ability that they can use or change or digress into what benefits the works that are happening.
Yeah, and it's team building days as well, isn't it, for the corporate companies, letting the staff go and have a paid work day, but doing some volunteering as well.
So there's one for you to think about.
So yeah, that's a really
if you
good
run
scheme.
a company, team days and specific skills for places.
So going back to a lot of the work that the volunteers do, their hard work has resulted in green flag awards being made to
the Walsall, is that?
Yeah, the top end of the Walsall.
Up at the basin, Walsall Basin, with the carpet of green.
Yes. The Birmingham City Centre has got a green flag award.
That Leamington Spa.
Yeah.
So I can't just quite work out what's written. Tame Valley and Perry Bar.
Which obviously that got its green flag. A lot of work was done for that for the Commonwealth Games last year as well.
Wolverhampton, and
at Trentham
and Stone.
So that's really good that there's that many green flags in such a relatively small area, really.
But too, water is an important thing, and one of the things that we actually did turn around and listen is about the hydrology aspect. They had this Canal and River Trust's hydrology specialist. I'm having to put my teeth in for that.
And there is a diagram of that behind us, and we're not going to go into it in detail and give you wrong information if we don't remember it right.
And they had the scientist as well that was there, and it works very, very close in hand with each regional department to turn around and make sure that the water quality is better. They fight bacteria and pollution and even try and solve some problems.
So yeah,
welcoming.
Having the right amount of water in the right place at the right time is the slogan, which is challenging a lot of the time.
But West Midlands Water Resources, is that resources?
Yes.
Yeah. There's a picture somewhere behind us, apparently.
Those the reservoirs and rivers where they can draw water from.
Oh yeah, there was a very good explanation of why there was water shortages, why they were turning around and
there's a couple of big reservoirs, isn't there, that they can't use at the moment.
There's still the closure. They West Midlands have still got the closure of the one up at up by the Cowden at Whaley Bridge.
And they can't draw water off Cannock Chase Reservoir has got problems. I think it's problems with the inlet onto the canal.
It's the actual lock mechanism,
the
sluice mechanism to turn around and feed water on Anglesey Basin.
Yeah, so that's been out of use as well.
So there you go. There's two. But with that being a major big water environment, it isn't just a 5-minute job. You can't drain it down to the amount that they want, because there's other activities that go on it as well, and businesses, and then SCADA.
So yeah, that's how they monitor the water levels. So that stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. And there's points across the canal, there's telemetry boxes across the canals at over 600 locations, and it sends automatic alarms and alerts about high levels, low levels. It helps control the sluices and the weirs and the pumping stations.
Is that the one that also turns around and counts how many people go through the lock?
I don't know if the telemetry picks that up or if that's just done by human beings.
Well, they were saying that they also have...
Does that pick up the people?
Well, they said they had something that
I think it's the water
measured
usage.
The volume that went through the lock, so it would gauge how many people were actually using the locks to make whether it's viable to keep it up to date, how much water loss and damage there is.
From that technology that they then know the busiest locks in the country as well. So yes, there's a chart behind us with the screen of the 5 busiest locks and showing the 3 of them are in the West Midlands.
And part of that telemetry stuff all turns around and raises the alerts of like whether they need to fill or close off the canals, such as they did with Trent at Stoke.
Trent and Mersey, yeah.
The Trent Mersey last summer. So as a result of not being able to feed water out, other problems because of like the closures, when the water does get too low, they're aware, and like they can then put the big posts out and say they can't go.
Yeah, and then to add into the water problems, they have to have government licenses to abstract water from some areas, and that whole system has been changed and has been in a trial period, and now it's coming into fruition, and there's new licensing and new charging, and it's actually getting harder to abstract some water in some areas.
Because some of the other agencies that own the water, so like the environmental agency, when they pump the water from their water up, and some of this all becomes part of the scientific side as well, because ultimately there's native and non-native species that all live in the environment, I say the environmental agency water, but the water that comes from other sources to what also lives in the canal. And like they were saying about trying to do or am I jumping a little bit too advanced here? Trying to clean out some of the non-native stuff, because you can get crayfish, which is just off the top of my head, that are non-native, is it American crayfish, that like they don't want you to put back in if you do catch them, just for instance. And then you've got Xanders in the fish, I think it was, that wasn't a native, which it all has a big knock-on effect, because ultimately our British native wildlife that has been around for years and years and years are suffering because of these animals that are in the network, but they can get pumped in without people even knowing, so they're having to put nets over with the pump systems, and that was a big cost to try and ensure that these pumping systems and the mesh don't hinder CRT, but at the same time don't hinder the nature, and that was quite an interesting listening to.
So then they talked about some of the priority works. They kind of talked about the non-priority stuff and the emergency stuff first, and all the management of the water and the rubbish, and then they went on to talk about priority works. So one of the big priority works that's been ongoing for a considerable length of time is the repairing of the bridge, the reconstruction of Hazelhurst Bridge on the Caldon Canal. So there's some photographs behind of that, and that did finally reopen in April, so that makes that section of the Caldon accessible again, so we can go back on our list of somewhere to go.
Yeah, that's been a very big major, because they've actually had to, was it a listed bridge, which actually got damaged, so they've had to rebuild the whole bridge from the supports at the bottom,
it was a huge project
up, and it's taken most of the winter, I believe, to do that.
Taken it, I think it's been a couple of years, hasn't it? Yeah, it's been a long time being done.
But yeah, it's that's one of the things we found out, is that it was closed anyway when we went up to look at it to go on for winter, because it must have slipped through the net on our scanning of the CRT closures last year, when we planned what we were going to do. But when we went to the meeting and they showed us the pictures, it was quite a magnificent feat, and they've had a few problems, which is why it took so long.
But yes, that is open again. And then the final bit they talked about was the penny walk control.
Is this where you shiver?
Oh, if you're squeamish,
weevils.
You won't like the pictures behind us now. But it's really amazing.
American weevils, because pennywort not English by nativeness, and it was South American weevils, weren't they?
Yes, Argentina.
And there you go. I did listen to some things, but you're all right. You don't have to shake too much at the thought of it.
So yeah, they've cleaned 24 kilometres of the waterways over the past year, and they've removed over 400 tonnes of plant material mechanically, which takes a lot of money, and then there's extensive works planned this year. But in 2021 they started trialling the weevils.
Yeah, and basically what they did was they chose a little area to see how introducing these weevils would actually turn around and work without being too problematic, which is the one big thing, because when you're introducing something that's not native, you don't know whether they're going to turn around and ravish anything else other than just the specific plant life, in this case the pennywort. And as it turned out, what they actually did was, or what they actually found, was once the pennywort had been finished, it was the only thing they ate, so they actually died off. So CRT have reduced the cost of mechanically trying to dispose of, because it just grows and grows and grows, and if you leave a bit, it just covers itself back off. And a big one was the warsaw, was it?
Yes, the weevils are eating the roots, aren't they, and the stems.
They're eating all the roots and the stems,
completely eradicating it.
And then once it's gone, they actually die off because they haven't gotten the feed. But they're only minute. They're not like...
Yeah, so they use them at 12 sites across the network, and for the figures, it's costing just over £2,000 per weevil release, as compared to over £37,000 for the same amount of clearance mechanically. So that's the huge difference it makes. And the weevils, obviously they get released, and then sometimes they're releasing them maybe a second time, and then the area is cleared and not a problem anymore. Whereas with the mechanical, they have to keep going back and redoing it because it just keeps regrowing.
Which gives them green flags.
Yes, so that helps obviously towards the green flags as well.
There
so,
you go. It all
really
links in round in circles. It's like until I achieve a minimal cost.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of the meeting that went. It was very, very interesting. We got to meet people for inland waterways as well. They attended the meeting and wanted answers.
And the Black Country Navigation Group, I think they're called, BCN, I can't be group, must be something else, the BCNS. And they're obviously passionate about helping keeping the waterways clear and going, and renovation and restoration projects, and a very loud voice for boaters, which is always good.
And there was a very big floor for questions and answers, although time was running away with the meeting because there was that much given up. So there was answers from boaters and traders and information that was very useful. Yeah. Especially with some of the new things that the Canal and the River Trust are trying to bring in.
It was really interesting to get some of the inside perspective as to what it takes to keep the waterways going, and a bit of understanding and insight into some of the problems, wasn't it?
And the leaky lock gates.
Yeah.
They are working on it, promise you, because they're accountable now in some of this.
Yeah, they need to get them sorted because they can't abstract the water, can they?
It's not as readily, is it? So they are trying to do the best at trying to sort out all the thing.
Yeah.
The faults, leaks and damage.
So we hope you enjoyed that video. It's a bit longer than we wanted it to be, but hopefully some of that is useful information. Like I say, the links are below in the description, so if you want to see more in-depth detail of the reports and talk to CRT about any of the questions raised, then you've got all the information there to better do that.
Just something different that you hear about or don't hear about, and what happens.
So we're going to go and tackle the River Trent now.
Goodbye, I need to do my work.
And I'm sure we'll show you some of that on next week's video. We're heading over to Nottingham and then to Newark. It's only 3 weeks to the wedding.
Dun dun dun.
So yeah, we'll have some interesting and different bits for you over the next couple of weeks.
Give me a ball and chain then. What am I doing? Push the button, ring the bell. It's free to you, me, everybody, and CRT members. There you go.
Have a good one. See you next week. Bye. Bye.